alongside the Bluestone Heritage League, are proud to announce the East Coast Forum that charged before us on October 25th in Loudoun County, Virginia. With the goal of fostering fellowship and camaraderie, this event will gather friends and members of Old Glory Club chapters at a grand hall to enjoy fine dining and the meeting of minds. We will feature a range of outstanding gentlemen who will speak on the values that birthed this nation and what we can do as individuals to aid in the cause of preserving our heritage and building a better future for our people. We have taken the reins. We have saddled our horses. We have set out on the road ahead. Now before us lies untamed wilderness, and the challenges we face will require us to summon all that we have learned, the skills we have gained, and the bonds of brotherhood we have forged. Join us for an unforgettable evening in beautiful Virginia, the birthplace of civilization in the New World, where our independence from the Old World was won, and where the first chapter of the Old Glory Club was incorporated. As our organization has grown and found its feet, many new chapters have joined our cause. The East Coast Forum is an evening meant to bring new members and like-minded friends together for the inaugural regional conference hosted by the Old Glory Club. Ahead of us lies new territory, a shifting landscape of wondrous opportunity. From the first settlement to today, an unbroken chain of responsibility has been passed down by our forefathers and held by us in the present. Beyond the horizon, that torch shall be passed to our sons. This is the charge before us.
And if you've never been to an Old Glory Club conference, you have no idea what you're missing. The four gentlemen on this call have been, even our guest has been to an Old Glory Club conference event, multiple events. And yeah, want to thank everybody for tuning in. Say hello to everybody before we hit the ads and start selling stuff here. Got Raging Mandrill here today. How you doing, Mandrill?
Doing great. Glad to be back once again.
And the star, the special, somebody that is raved about on American Spirits on Monday nights, Mr. Auberon Quinn. How are you doing, Mr. Quinn?
I am ecstatic, Pete. After literal weeks slaving away in the American Spirit salt mine, I have finally made the big show.
You are always welcome. And special guest, if we're going to talk about that, the libtards tonight, as he likes to call them, Karl Dahl is here.
Hey, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
All right, before we get into the stories for the evening, I want to remind everybody that Alp, do not consume Zyn. Support the people who are out there talking about America's greatest ally all the time, Tucker Carlson. Support it with Alp. Go to what is it? Is it alp.com? I don't even remember. But use promo code OGC and you get a discount. Next up, Axios Fitness. JD is amazing. And now that I'm over laying in bed for days at a time, it's time to get back into working out on a regular basis. Head on over to Axios Fitness and yeah, don't let the winter get away from you. Get with JD. And Fox & Sons Coffee, Stephen over at Fox & Sons Coffee, use promo code OGC for 18% off over $40. Get free shipping, and you support one of our guys.
Of course, the real secret is to combine an Alp pouch with a Fox & Sons coffee with an Axios Fitness session to get that heart rate well above 200.
Oh, sludge in your veins. All right, gentlemen, our Mr. President is not here. Mr. Vice President is not here. It falls upon me to lead the talk this evening. So we're going to kick this off talking about something that I think a lot of people are talking about. and we have a video to go along with this one. It looks like Antifa or Antifa may be designated a foreign terrorist organization.
Are you going to work with your administration as the Secretary of State's here? Are you going to work with your administration to designate it a foreign terror organization?
You mean a terror?
Antifa? A foreign terror organization.
Well, has that been done? Pretty close, right? Would you like to see it done?
Yes, Mr. President.
Do you think it would help?
They have foreign links
I'd be glad
all
to
across
do it.
Western
I think it's
Europe.
the kind of thing I'd like to do. If you'd like, does
Middle
everybody
East.
agree? If you agree, I agree. Let's get it done. Okay, let's get it done. Marco, we'll take care of it.
Mr. President.
That's international, you mean?
Yes.
International.
Yes, President.
Sounds good to me.
Foreign terror organization.
Steve, are you okay with it?
Yes, it's true. There are extensive foreign ties, and I think that would be a very valid step to take.
Good, I think so too.
Yes.
Good, I think it's a good point. Thank you.
I think Mr. Quinn may have a little insight on what designating Antifa a foreign terrorist organization may, what that may include from a legal standpoint. Mr. Quinn, do you have any opinions?
Yeah, this is a major phase change in the way Antifa is treated in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder. Of course, there was talk about designating Antifa a domestic terror organization, but in U.S. law, this is a designation which simply does not exist. It's purely a creature of how the executive branch wants to treat it. Designating Antifa as a foreign terrorist organization under the Patriot Act is, however, an entirely different ball of wax. It allows them to go after their money, it allows them to go after their supporters, and it allows for criminal sanctions against Americans who give support, comfort, material aid to the organization. This would be true of Al-Qaeda, this would be true of Hamas, and if this is actually delivered upon, it is true of Antifa. Now, we need to remember that just because the designation is made, you have to follow it up with actual prosecutions and actual seizures of assets, but the designation of Antifa is step one, and so this is a really serious action. If they actually do this, then this is a signal they intend to be serious, which hopefully will be followed on with actual prosecutions and actual perp walks to begin dismantling what is, by every description, a terror network.
Does being designated a foreign terrorist organization mean that anyone who would fall under that loses their constitutional rights?
Well, no. There's no way to truly lose constitutional rights. They can be treated differently under the Patriot Act. That can be suspended in wartime, and so a lot more can be done. But you can't just round them up willy-nilly over here and throw them in prison without trials or anything like that. But you can start to put them through a very punishing process and begin to dismantle the network.
It sounds very similar in concept to what the old commies used to call salami tactics. Little similar, where you take the little slice at the end where you've got all of the people doing all the really, really bad stuff, and then you go after them and you work your way towards the less offensive people. That's probably how you do it. And of course, going after the money is the important part. Like anybody who's ever seen any mob movie or anything having to describing a RICO case or anything like that, you always have to go after the financing. That is how you truly disrupt these kinds of networks.
For practical examples of that, the federal government now would be able to stop Antifa from accessing financial services. So he could debank Antifa. He could seize the assets of Antifa. And to the extent those assets are concealed behind NGOs and wealthy donors, he can pierce that veil and go after the people who are actually putting the money out there to fund these things.
Mr. Dahl? Oh, seems like Mr. Dahl has been disconnected there. Let's see if we can get him back on.
I'm here. Sorry about that.
Oh, there you go. You got something to say about that?
Everything roboted out for a second there. My apologies. I just wanted to add that the international ties of Antifa are massive, and I've been around these people well, back in the day, I was around them a fair bit just because of, like music scene and street scenes and places I've lived. And, Canadians or people going back and forth between the U.S. and Canada, all over Europe, and they flow. They're very international in nature, as is the money, as are the leaders and advisors and observers. If we can get is it the National Lawyers Guild, the little green hat fools, looped into this because of their common funding and everything, that would be beautiful.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting angle you bring up there. The National Lawyers Guild famously bails Antifa rioters out and provides other legal services to them. Legal services are a little bit different from other kinds of material aid and support, again, because of constitutional guarantees, but there's definitely a window there to at least open them up and look at them and see if they are providing material support to Antifa, at which point they would be now liable for criminal sanctions.
And they almost certainly are, because they go to the same conferences and the university, the various NGO-funded university positions that finance both groups, through which money and aid flows, is pretty. They do it in a very decentralized, smart manner, but it still all runs through the system. So I would encourage anyone with any kind of pull to look into that. And we have vast backups of hoovered up data available to the government for all the kind of open talk between 2015 and probably about 2023, 2022 that was taking place online, with them openly talking about it. And I can provide some additional information for certain regions as well. There's a lot of people that have been gathering this information. So just saying.
Yeah, very exciting. And of course, intelligently organized, decentralized, nefarious networks is, of course, exactly what these legal tools were created to deal with. So turning that apparatus, the whole war on terror apparatus, towards Antifa is just I really can't emphasize how powerful a tool this will be if it's followed through on.
Well, I wanted to ask Mr. Dahl something. Allegedly, maybe someone on this call may have been on the ground in Seattle at a certain event in 1999.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah, I actually worked downtown, and I was aware of all the preparation for the WTO protests, and the vast majority of it were legitimate protesters, some of them with Antifa type ties, but they were still doing just peaceful protests and various harmless actions, and then the kind of street fools came up from Eugene, Oregon, and the kind of distributed networks there. And let's just say they operate in an entirely different fashion. Everyone was very upset at them, and the police had no response because they're dealing with a protest of over 100,000 people in the streets, and completely orderly except for this group. And then once they kind of set the ball rolling and the law enforcement cracked down with a broad brush rather than a targeted scalpel fashion, which they could have easily done within the first 20 minutes or so of that engagement, all the little hoodlums came down to riot. So yeah, it's and if you talk to them, they're more disciplined now, but in ye old times, they would just tell you exactly what their whole strategy was, which was, the usual ridiculous anarchist nonsense, which is that you do a little street violence, the government cracks down on everyone, and then everyone in America rises up and overthrows the government, because that's totally what we would do, which is hilarious. But no, yeah, they're quite open about what they are, and that's a shame, because the people sitting there were peaceful protesters who then got this treatment because of Antifa. Yeah, so they need to be crushed utterly.
An interesting juxtaposition, another one besides the one you mentioned, is that in 1999, those protests against the WTO were framed as a protest against globalism.
Correct, sir.
And now, we just saw on the screen a minute ago a sign in German. That sign read, "Nationalism is no alternative." So you have this 180-degree shift, whereas then, at least putatively, Antifa was rioting against globalism. Now they've made the code switch to essentially promote internationalism, promote globalism, and it's an interesting story the way that code switch happened over the last 25 years.
And that is a very interesting point that you bring up, because they were always globalist and anti-nationalist. So they were disrupting a protest that other people were having that was nationalist in nature, even if there were, environmentalist elements to it. The vast majority of the people that were out there on the street were doing it from a, anti-global trade angle, and from like a pro-labor angle, as well as the legal issues that have been brought due to the WTO and the loss of national sovereignty, etc. And so Antifa coming in to disrupt it was in the service of globalism. There are people who were there who were sympathetic with Antifa at the time, who have since learned of this and are not, that I know that are now opposed to Antifa, because they get it. That was precisely, they were using that as a shield to cause a crackdown.
And it's an important lesson to take forward, because as the popular winds start to pick up at our backs, there's going to be more and more opportunities for this opportunistic action by Antifa and groups like Antifa to cause this chaos in service of their own nefarious ends.
Indeed.
Well, it seems that some people who are associated with Antifa, or as they'll say, allegedly supportive of Antifa, have taken this as a serious threat and left town and the country. So do we have up a picture of there's a Mr. Mark Bray, who is an Antifa expert, quote unquote. He's not an expert. He actually wrote the book, The Antifa Handbook, which you can find. It's right. See the picture right there. And yeah, funny, he fled to Spain. And I think somebody said that I saw something earlier that he may have been stopped at the airport. I'll look that up real quick. But if anybody wants to comment on Mr. Mark Bray and a fleeing of the country. And then we have another one who we have another Antifa related one. Rose City Antifa founders have fled to Sweden. I think we actually have a video on that.
Just nu är jag på plats i Varberg, Halland, för att försöka få en intervju med Johan och Caroline Victorin som grundar den numera terrorstämplade vänsterextrema våldsgruppen Rose City Antifa i Portland, USA.
Tjenare Johan, jag har lite frågor om Rose City Antifa som du var med och grundade. Du blev ju avslöjad av Project Veritas, både du och Caroline. Så ni bakom mordet på Charlie Kirk? Johan, skulle man kunna få en kommentar om terrorstämplingen av Rose City Antifa? Du är ju medborgare i USA. Är du rädd för att själv dömas för conspiracy eller?
If only.
Give me a cell phone signal and a drone, please.
Yeah, this points to the international nature of Antifa, because the black bloc tactics that were worked out in Europe in the 80s and 90s, they literally just brought that here. And if I recall, he's a Swede who got American citizenship when he married that American woman. And then they just go back and forth doing this stuff. So they are part of a international network of this type of activity, and use those connections for training people and connecting them to all the various activities that they do around the world. They're more anarchist in nature than straight communists, although of course there's a lot of blending during times like this where they become slightly less ideologically pure, so long as they have that general anti-American perspective, and so these are the people that you need to get, but they have spawned hundreds of people all over North America, just these two, and plugged them into these networks and gotten them training and such. So yeah, they absolutely have to be dealt with.
So yeah, someone say something.
I can. We talked a little earlier about Antifa being intelligently organized and decentralized. This implies that the people at the top of it are sophisticated, intelligent people. And if you see these people sufficiently concerned by the ongoing moves to desert the sinking ship like rats, then that is heartening in itself. But it shows us they're taking it seriously and they're taking countermeasures. So we have to both be encouraged by this and be sobered by the fact that this is not going to be a walkover if we do in fact go to the mattresses with them.
I guess I'd be waiting for someone in the chat to say that this is all kayfabe, but it's that that's inevitable. I'm sorry, Mandrill.
Yeah, I was going to say it is extremely heartening to see such high-level, well-educated people flee to other countries like this. I mean, it's kind of what I was talking about, the salami tactics earlier, right? You go after the smart, intelligent people who are part of the obvious leadership cadre, the people who are on the ground developing the tactics, writing books about the subject because they've had firsthand experience and all of that. And even though this is just one or two people to start with, this is going to disrupt their networks, right? You're taking out key players from leadership positions. And of course, as Mr. Quinn mentioned, that can also become a rallying point, at least temporarily. So the play for us is to continue and keep the play going, I guess.
And if I could add, if we think back to 2016 or 2020, I know that in 2016, if you recall those Berkeley protests that got really violent, there were really great open source analyses done identifying all the people that were observing in the crowds and kind of directing quietly through wireless networks, through basically a communication net that they had established to direct the Antifa agitators to pick targets and everything like that, and tell people when to push and when to pull back and when to move up the umbrella retards and all the various tactics that they use. And that it's really, really important for those people to be identified. And again, fortunately, there aren't that many of them. Like, I mean, it's going to be a couple hundred people, who are, relatively high up there, and their academia and legal industry is like the biggest, and, plus just the general NGO networks. These people can all be got. The other thing that's would be really advantageous, especially with this foreign terrorist organization designation, is there are people that are kind of out of this that were around in that era, and it would be a pretty small matter for law enforcement to lean on the people that are somewhat out of it, who were face people, right? But were known for showing up at these protests, whether they're state legislators in Oregon, for example, that are known by name, that were showing up at the riots outside the federal courthouse in 2020. There's all kinds of people who can be leaned on and have it made worth their while to say what they know. Because again, it's really a couple of cities where the whole system is totally permeated. And then it also gets into the rest of kind of the lefty agitator NGO sphere around the country, because all these people are layered and connected with one another. So this can seriously, if handled, correctly, put a real damper on the most egregious lefty politicians and street activists that are out there, because they're all part of the same networks.
I hope people who see this, who think, oh, Antifa in this country is just worried about rising fascism, or no, this is an international movement, and they want to smash everything that isn't them. They want to kill everything that isn't them. They're running to other countries to escape. They're being protected in other countries. This is a worldwide movement. It's not about borders. It's not about anywhere that they think that quote unquote fascism is popping up, and fascism to them is anything to the right of Bernie Sanders. They're going to come for you. So if you realize that this is international, if you realize that there's money behind this, if you realize that they can just escape and go to another country, you have to understand that if their apparatchiks ever get back into power, especially into the White House, they're coming for us. I mean, we don't know 100%. That anything's going to stop them from coming from us now. But if they have all the power, we have to just assume that we have to live like we're the Walking Dead.
And to add on to your comment there, Pete, the great talks about continental philosophy that you're having with Thomas are really where people could go. And when you hear about the Franklin School and the like, Thomas underscored a really important point, which is that these people may not consider themselves Marxists anymore, Marxists per se. It's their ideology is an evolved form of Marxian thought, and the core component that they do believe, which we can find in Marxism, is that, or some aspect of it, is that fascisms are done by the people who are trying to disrupt the historical process, which is the inevitable movement into socialism, communism, and then this anarchist panacea someday. So that's what they're fighting against. They're fighting against resistance to globo homo.
Anyone got anything?
I mean, the cognitive dissonance leaves me speechless. You have these purported anarchists being the regime's strongest soldiers. It's a point that's been made thousands of times on thousands of live streams, but it never ceases to amaze.
Indeed.
All right, I think we can move on to the next story, and I'm sure most of the people who are listening, if you're on social media, have heard about this one. This one takes place in Virginia and has to do with the Attorney General race and a gentleman named Jay Jones. Look at that. He looks like a mongoloid Tiger Woods. Unbelievable. So,
arguably Tiger Woods is Mongoloid, but let's not go there.
Lee Maloney's got a good swing. The texts were revealed showing that, imagine that. Basically, I think the theme of tonight is just going to be anti-white, kill whitey. And the text, the best thing about these texts is the person he's texting with is trying to give him an out. It's like, come on. Yeah. And he's like, no, he's just doubling down. Anybody got anything to say about this one?
I mean, it literally is samhyde.mp4. They want you dead. They want your kids brainwashed, and they think it's awesome.
Absolutely. The reason that I use the term libtard and I just throw all these different various ideologies, which I understand at a very deep level. I understand the differentiation between all these subsets of libtardism, is that this is what it comes down to, is there's the seething hatred. And, you know, your neighbor who votes Democrat because she's 70 years old and she comes from a working class family and watches, you know, ABC or whatever, and just like regurgitates, you know, dumb talking points. She's not even a libtard. She's an NPC, right? But these true believers are all in the same bucket in terms of what they want the outcome to be, which is samhyde mp4. And, you know, we have to treat it as a self-defense situation. samhyde_2.mp4.
Well, yeah, lest we allow the over-the-top nature of this particular instance distract us from the seriousness of the situation.
Absolutely.
This is a man who is within grasping distance of prosecutorial power, and with it absolute prosecutorial discretion in the state of Virginia. He will have the power to ruin the lives of anyone he wants. He can throw them in prison, or if he can't throw them in prison, he can bankrupt them trying to throw them in prison for whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And with this kind of unhinged hatred animating a person like that, the amount of damage he could inflict on the people of Virginia generally, and on the right wing specifically, is a grim prospect. And those of you who are out there in Virginia, you need to get activated, because this, I mean, the Virginia gubernatorial race, that gets a lot of attention, but this is much more existentially dangerous to you as a American living in Virginia.
And he's saying it. And you have to think of all those who are not saying it. And this is how radicalized our politics have gotten. This is where everyone, you know, with Charlie Kirk's assassination, this is why everyone was saying Spanish Civil War. And I was cautioning, no, like this is possibly, you know, a couple of years before it even gets to that point. It could be shut down entirely for forever or for a brief time, as you saw in the 1920s in Spain, where the military conducted a coup. And, you know, there's always a figurehead, and our enemies love to have bad man picture so that they can concentrate their hate on bad man and personify everything. But in reality, it was, you know, everyone saying, well, let's put a damper on politics if it's gotten to be this way. So we need to realize and take this very seriously. This isn't just Downy Tiger Woods, you know, talking smack on his phone. This is serious. This could mean, you know, serious anarcho-tyranny, you know, far beyond what we've been seeing for a decade.
Yeah, to continue the Spanish analogy, if you want to talk about accidentalism versus catastrophism, this is the face of our oncoming catastrophism.
100%.
You know, you have to if somebody is saying these things in private, you know, I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are like, well, you know, people say dumb stuff in public and they're just trying to show off and everything. Sure, why not? But if you're saying this stuff in private and you're doubling down, even when the person on the other end is like, you know, you're just being hyperbolic, right? No, I really want him and his 2 little white kids dead because they're raising, you know, little fascists. I'm sorry. I'm going to choose to believe him.
When they tell you who they are, believe them.
And something, Pete, you always have pointed out is that one of the nice things about, you know, looking at the participants in the Spanish Civil War is they always told you exactly who they were. And then we saw what we got with that, right? And so when people like this talk this way in America, we have to understand the stakes and why they have to be dealt with lawfully, legally by the government, right? But we have to take it completely seriously because this is who they are and this is what they want to do, and they will do it. Or at the very least, they will have a very soft hand in the people who do it to you. And if you try to defend yourself, they will crack down upon you with their power.
And remember, this is right after, soon after Charlie Kirk has been shot. You would think that it'd be like, whoa, what? We have elections to win. We have things we need to get done. Let's back off a little bit. But no, they're doubling down and doubling down in private. And we've seen a lot of people say stuff in public where like, and then they get mad when Anna Kasparian goes full happy merchant. But this is, I don't know how, and one of the things that, to go back to something Carl said about the Spanish Civil War, whenever Carl's talking about like the anarchists or the communists, Republicans, he calls them all libtards. And I always assumed that he called them all libtards just to remind you, just because you know that these anarchists and communists in the Spanish Civil War were a bunch of murdering psychopaths who had planned to murder half the country.
Yep.
So when you see the left in this country, make the connection.
They want to kill you.
They want to kill you.
Yep.
So, what do?
You make friends with people.
Yes.
It's
a great video.
It's incredible. The nice thing about this though is that it's so brazen that you have very normal people, very chill people. The days of I just want to grill, like those are coming to an end. You will always have those people. You will always have a percentile, but like quality people are sitting up and taking notice of this stuff. And so what I would say to people out there, I saw a thing recently where a guy was complaining on social media to someone who was talking about, tribe up, get together with like-minded people. And this guy was complaining about like conservacucks and stuff like that. And what that guy is looking for is he thinks that he can only make friends with people who have 100% lockstep agreement on every single topic, no matter how irrelevant it is to an American in America. He wants a precise opinion and he wants to hear all the right slurs. Otherwise they're not serious. Right. And that's a very silly and short-sighted perspective to have when you have people like this openly saying, we are going to kill you. You need to, figure out what you have in common with people, and you will be able to have conversations about these sort of topics. Let them lead, give them permission to talk about what they're seeing. You don't have to push a specific opinion. You can take your time, and as you get to know them, and like be serious about it, like your neighbors, your people that you go to church with, your family members, like those are the most critical people. You can have your cadre of cool guys, those are always important, but when you're looking for auxiliaries and other people who you can work with and people who have their own crew, if they're not in complete lockstep agreement with you, but they don't see you as an enemy and they see your common enemies as their enemies, that's good enough for now. Like, this is not a time for purity spiraling. This is a time for loose coalitions of, people with like 85 to 90% actual commonalities.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago on American Spirits, we covered Carl Schmitt's concept of the political, and this is getting very real. The question you need to be approaching people with is, does he want to kill me? If no, then maybe you've got a friend. If yes, you've got an enemy. But that has to be the analysis with which you are approaching these people these days. Does this person want me dead? And if not, then what can I do to help him and myself stay alive?
It's so funny that you say that. Back in February of 2021, I was sitting in my office at work and looked down at my cell phone, and it was ringing, and it was somebody who has spoken at a couple of our events, Mr. Jeff Deist. And I just got on the phone, and he just launched into this thing about, we're still in COVID at that point. And he goes, libertarianism doesn't matter anymore. Conservatism doesn't matter anymore. There's two groups, those who want to kill you and those that don't. I mean, he was saying this 4.5 years ago.
Absolutely.
A little ahead of the curve.
Conservative, libertarian, liberal, these are inhabitants of a world of opponents. We do not live in a world of opponents. We live now in a world of enemies. And that's how we have to draw our lines.
And a variation on this that I've been using recently with people talking about Charlie Kirk, right? You could tell if someone is just a seething defective by how they look at Charlie Kirk, right? If you go back to Corneliu Zelea Codreanu, leader of the Iron Guard, or their original name, the Legion of Archangel Michael in Romania, he had a frame where there's enemies and there's also an adversary. And the adversary is going to be like the conservatives who aren't going to, who want normalcy. They want things to go back to the way they were. So you will get resistance from them, quite often from the mainstream people with power. But as time goes by, that tends to they tend to get with the program, right? So after they killed Codreanu, it was like 2 years after that, his people had state power, and it's because enough of the people who were in that conservative bucket who had become an adversary got with the program, and they realized what was actually going on. They realized who the actual enemy was. And so there was that pivot. So it doesn't mean that you act like a babe in the woods around someone who could be an adversary, someone with actual power who's expressed, that they think that people that think a certain way, which you happen to be in, need to be suppressed. So yes, be smart when you're dealing with that kind of a person, but the people who align their mentality with those people are probably going to be getting with the program once the stakes are actually on the table.
Do you have anything, Mr. Mandrill?
I mean, I can't top what these other gentlemen are saying. It's all true.
No problem. How about we knock out a few super chats before we move on to the next thing? How does that sound?
That sounds like fan service.
All right. Ski Bum 220, $5 over on Entropy. He's actually signed up and subscribed as a monthly donator over there. Maybe consider doing that if you're over on Entropy. Thank you, sir. Solid Snake 1964 got beat this week. $10 super chat. Evening, gents. If any of you have old silverware, now is a good time to sell. Silver just reached the highest it's ever been in modern history. Interesting financial times ahead. Salute.
And almost certainly going higher, just saying.
If there's actual instability, yeah.
I was tempted to look and see what I had today, and I was like, oh no, there's that chance.
Should probably still stack it.
Yeah.
It's a nostalgic break from crypto scammers. Now we're going back to the silver and gold promoters on stream.
John Punterick, $10 super chat. Cheers from the Carolina Gold Coterie. Cheers, brother.
Hang on to that coterie. It's going up.
Solid Snake again for $5. You guys having trouble with Entropy? I can't add a new bank card on there. It says it's trying to set up a recurring payment, but I don't want to do that.
It's the treasurer of the Old Glory Club. Entropy is the bane of my existence. I'm constantly having problems with Entropy, but nevertheless, they take less than everybody else. So,
yeah, Entropy. Everybody does not like Entropy. Streamers hate it. Everything.
I pretty much rely upon Entropy and Rumble for my Sunday streams, and Entropy usually works out pretty well. But the people on Rumble are also very nice. So I have nothing bad to say about Rachel and the people over there. They've been good to me after YouTube demonetized me. So, but yeah, every once in a while you're like, why can't I do anything? Damn it. Harvey Wallbanger for $5 super chat. The Virginia OGC chapters are hosting an event in Northern Virginia on October 25th. Contact your OGC representative to get access to this exclusive event. Anyone who tuned in and saw the ad in the beginning, that is what Mr.
We see you double dipping, Harvey. You got your ad.
Thanks for the super chat, Harvey. Maple Copperhead, $5. Salute. And for the OGC Triumphal Arch. Look forward to that day. Baron Gimli von Garden for 10. Is it too late to start a chapter of the Old Glory Club? I'm in Michigan's Upper Peninsula and would like a hyper-local chapter dedicated to our tiny geographical region, the Garden Peninsula.
It is, of course, not too late to start a chapter of the Old Glory Club. If you would like to start a chapter of the Old Glory Club, get yourself and 4 excellent American men of good character over the age of 18 together and send us an email. We'll get you an application and walk you through the process. It is still very possible to start a chapter. And I would also just tell Mr. Gimli von Garden that to check out the Peninsular Vanguard, which is one of our chapters that already exists in Michigan. But if they're too geographically distant from you, you can certainly start your own chapter.
And I just want to tell Mr. Von Garden, I'm sorry about the Indian infiltration that you've been experiencing. I've heard stories. Christopher Burks for $2 with a salute. Salute to you, sir. Jake Colby for 10. Hey, OGC, I was wondering if there was a Chicago or Illinois chapter that was in the works. Would love to join. I emailed the website a few weeks ago, but they haven't gotten back to me yet.
Well, you picked the right week to super chat, Jake. The OGC does indeed have people in Chicago, and organizing efforts are underway. Due to the local conditions in Chicago, we have to be particularly deliberate in our efforts. So if you have emailed us, we're aware of you, and when the time comes, we will reach out.
All right. Ski Bum 220, $50 super chat. Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, please pray for a coworker of mine who lost both of his parents to cancer in the same year. Thank you for all you do. Salute the OGC. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Sounds rough.
Lost my mom to cancer. I remember the feeling, man. Xcomer, $20 USD with a salute. Kyle Linskog, $20 with a salute. Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Linskog, one of our strongest soldiers.
Yes, definitely. Most definitely.
He is paid more of a price than most to be part of this organization, and we salute him back.
Hope to see him next year sometime, possibly in the summer. Son of Haster, $5. As with our inner cities, so with Antifa. The impact of 100 targeted arrests would be tremendous, but the political will doesn't seem to be there. Here's hoping our leaders can be led to sense. I mean, you have when you have inner city, when you have police chiefs and you have mayors and you have governors and you have quote unquote priests out there not allowing you to do your job and fighting back.
Or when, as we had 2 years ago, the president of the United States running cover for them.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a great point because, you know, all of these left-wing terror networks, like, they're all distributed, right? And if you understand anything about how the intersectional coalition works as a broad swath, right? It's all like basically Antifa is the white portion, for lack of a better term, of the intersectional coalition, the residually white part of the coalition. And then you've got like all of these inner city stuff with ICE. They're all part of the same broad strategy, right? Like if you do any reading into left-wing terror networks, this is blatantly clear, right? So you can't just attack one section of the web, right, of this distributed network, right? You have to attack multiple sections at the same time. Right now you got ICE, DHS going after the illegals. You've got to go after Antifa as well, right? This is just like you need to be able to restore control over the urban areas, right? That's just a prerequisite to getting anything done.
Learn something from, I'm not saying to be terrorists, but learn something from the terrorists. They will attack an area, and at the same time, they're attacking the hospital in the area so that everything gets jammed up along the way. You can't take one person to another. Everything just gets this is something needs to be learned. This isn't something that the right is very good at, because the right wants order, and you can have order, but every once in a while, a little bit of chaos a little bit of controlled chaos will do wonders for rounding these people up all at the same time. I'll leave it there. Right.
The order comes after the chaos. That's the problem. There's an order of operations that people don't seem to understand here, Pete.
Yeah. Yes, sir. TK, $25 super chat. Thank you, sir. To my fellow Mike subcontractors, military industrial complex, quotes are picking up. That is all. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That might be a signal.
Indeed. In context of this stream, possibly a very hopeful signal.
Buckthorn Bear for $10 just says gratuity. Thank you, sir. Dawn Browning, $20 Australian. Yeah, that's right. Australian. She sends a super sticker like she does every week. A guy with backwards baseball cap making a heart with his hands. We do appreciate you, Dawn, and thank you for being here every week for us. Solid Snake, another $5 super chat. I still stack when I can. I may need to buy essentials and bread with it someday, hopefully, but not chaos. Hopefully not, but chaos continues to reign nowadays. Yeah, I remember seeing this thing years ago when I was in my stacking silver and gold phase to how at some point everything could go to such crap that like one American Eagle, you'd be able to get groceries for a week with one American Eagle. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but be prepared. Vol's Persona, $20. Salute. Thank you, Vol's Persona. Seasider, always here. Thank you. $10. Salute. And the greatest screen name of all time, City Breakdancer Man, for $5 with a salute. Thank you.
Every time.
All right, moving on. Oh, this is the story that's going to get everybody riled and everybody blackpilling and everybody. Trump and Netanyahu agreed to Gaza peace deal, and apparently, from what I saw today, the Israeli government voted to agree with phase 1 of the deal. So, what do we? Oh, yeah, that. What a goblin! I swear. I wish he would have grown up in Philadelphia when it was much different. There might have been a chance to, whatever. I'm talking about Netanyahu. Anybody have any thoughts about this this Trump Gaza deal?
Oh, it's all so tiresome.
It won't last. It never does.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the Israelis to violate it.
Well, I was assured that the Camp David Accords took care of this forever.
It's, the first thing you hear is, oh, there's a deal on the table and Israel's, and you're like, okay, so Hamas, quote unquote, Hamas is going to break the peace. And what we know about that is that a bunch of guys in brand new clothes with the tag still on them with tacked out AK-47s are going to do something. Because that's what happened the last time they tried to have a peace. I remember seeing the picture and being like, okay, they've been living underground, but those clothes are brand new. They still have creases in them, and they have AKs with like ACOGs on them, and they're tacked out. Yeah, I'm sure that's Hamas. Oh, and they're all wearing masks. They not like they have to wear masks. Everybody over there looks alike, so.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Trying not to be too cynical. It's awful what's been going on over there, and it's really all Israel. The bright side of it, though, is that the world is getting with it, right? Like, it's over. Their special status, maybe they'll still continue to have like outsized influence for some time, I'm sure. I give it, I don't know, up to a decade and a half. But people hate it, and everyone, like the boomers TikTok. It's just like the ones that still have this mindless sympathy. There's just no audience for it outside of them anymore. It's just not happening. So we shall see, and whatever happens, it will just make Israel look bad no matter what.
Yeah, I was sharing, I forget where I was sharing this, might have been recording with Mike Ferris today, but it's really odd. This one group of people, historically, whenever things turn, normally when you see a group or a government lose power or get overrun or get overthrown, or just basically their power diminishes, it's usually some elite faction fighting against them. But if you read like 200 Years Together, you realize when it comes time for this and the elites turn on them, it's not only the elites. It's really weird. The people start noticing too, in large swaths. You saw this in Russia during the quote unquote pogroms. Like I think the one in Kishinev, the one that they always cry about, it was some of the people who were rioting and going through the streets, and they were separating. They were like, we're looking for the Talmudists, not the Karaites. Like the peasants knew the Talmudists, the ones that are doing this to us, charging us usury, just are treating us like trash, and they're the revolutionaries. They're the ones that want to overthrow the czar, where the Karaites, who just follow the Torah and want to be left alone, they would like make sure not to damage their businesses or them in any way. And some people would even protect them because they knew that they were different from this group over here. But it's just really weird that it's like the masses' eyes always get open to them. And it's just, that's why they're so scared. That's why when you want to talk about Jewish power, Jewish influence, the Jewish revolutionary spirit, or Kevin McDonald as a evolutionary psychologist, how they've evolved, and this insular kind of survival mechanisms that even the people start seeing it. It's just extremely strange that like literally
every single time.
Thank you, Tucker.
It's interesting. My son commented to me yesterday or the day before that he's playing YouTube while he's doing homework for music in the background, and he was just getting bombarded with pro-Israel ads, and he was just laughing because it's so ham-fisted and so heavy-handed, and so they're spending a bunch of money, and it's going to it's basically in a big circle. Of course, the money's being spent, but like, come on, like, it doesn't work that way. It just does not work that way.
Has your son considered using Brave?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think he was running it off his phone. So
I've seen some of those ads I think I've seen them on Facebook, the ones that they're paying $7,000 for. They're so bad.
They're terrible.
They're just so awful.
So
it's like the Russian
silver these days.
Apparently it's supposed to be 30 pieces of silver, depending on on which AI you consult.
Yeah.
Gab AI probably will tell you it's 7,000. But yeah, I mean, can we put up a picture of Gaza here? I mean, how do you expect the rest of the world to not look at this and go, yeah, this is what happens? A bunch of I was listening to Max Blumenthal describing exactly what happened on October 7th and everything, and putting aside whether they allowed it to happen or everything. Basically, I mean, it was just thrown so far open that, like, it wasn't only Hamas that went over there. It was people who were just pissed for the way they've been treated their whole lives. And that's the way a lot of the things ended up happening. A lot of the atrocities, quote unquote, ended up happening. We know the Hannibal Directive, did a lot of damage. But I mean, this is what they say it's okay to do to civilian populations if 1,200 of your people are killed on one day. And I mean, the people. I want to say this, and this is something that I've really been struggling with lately and giving a lot of thought to, is being consumed by hate and being consumed by the hate for the people who would do something like this. And I don't want to be like them. They want you to be hateful. They like it when you're hateful. They thrive on you being hateful and filled with hate. But when you're filled with hate, it really messes with your judgment. And I think at this point in time, the way the world is, what's happening around us, we need all the judgment. We need our wits about us. And I don't think we can be consumed by hate anymore. To me, hate is just it is something that we've learned from them. We didn't used to hate our enemies. We used to actually respect our enemies. We used to respect our enemies after battle. You just let them go home. Now everybody has to be Hitler. Everybody has to be Khmelnytsky. Everyone has to be hated, and anyone who wants to placate them is Neville Chamberlain. if you're getting consumed by hate, you're just playing right into their hands, and you're more like them than you actually realize.
And it leads to really bad takes also, because they're so fixated on them that people quite often stop thinking clearly, like you were saying, and like they can't even read sentences. They interpret it in a certain way. Like getting back to the Charlie Kirk thing. Oh, well, he was a Zionist. Well, we have all this evidence that he was changing. No. He just wanted their money. It was all about greed. And it's like, don't you realize that what you're saying like reduces his martyrdom, and it reduces the value of his pushback against them? Like, one of their strongest soldiers got with it, probably after having children and dealing with them, when they're having a tough time, instead of just, being on top of the world, and, understood what was going on and started pushing back, and to diminish the importance and the power of that. It's like Chekhov's gun. It's like it's on the table and you have to use it. This is a mixed metaphor, but like they can't even see that. They can't even see that this is something that they can use, that it's there for them to use. No, they have to push back on it because they're consumed with hatred. It's not a good way to be.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that, we who study them are cognizant of is the fact of how much they hate, how full of hate they are. Why would you want to be like them? Why would you? No, you're white European. Stop it. Act like one. Yeah, you got this. We're going to win. Hate's just going to cloud your judgment. All right. Enough of that. This story that I just learned about right before we went live. The Algerian invasion of Columbus, Ohio. Over 1,000 new Algerian immigrants expected in Columbus in 2026, and this one woman may be the reason why. Let me let me read a little bit of this article here so you can get it. Hamida, a Star Wars name, stood among the aisles of her go-to Kroger, having walked to the store to buy milk for her morning cup of coffee. It was a day like any other for Aoule, a 45-year-old Algerian immigrant working for a local nonprofit that serves other immigrants in Columbus's Riverview Drive community. A woman suddenly approached Aoule, waving her phone and asking for help. It wasn't long before Aoule found herself scheduling a Medicaid appointment for a woman she barely knew in the dairy section of her neighborhood grocery store. This interaction wasn't all that an uncommon occurrence for Aoule. Quoting, "I'm not surprised about that," Aoule, director of programs for the Riverview International Center, said as she reflected on that day from months ago. Quote, "I'd go to Walmart, any place I go. They show me all their documents, their phone, pictures. So I'm not surprised. I'm used to that." By they, Ouali means Columbus's Algerian community, which already totals more than 2,000 as of 2023 and is predicted to keep growing. Aoule said more than 6,000 Algerian immigrants are expected to come to the United States next year through the diversity visa program, and she projects around 1,000 or more will settle in Columbus. Through the annual program, the federal government uses a lottery system to give green cards to as many as 55,000 people from countries with low rates of immigration to the United States, yielding hundreds of thousands of applicants all over the world, says RIC Executive Director Amelia Shealy. Applications for DV 2027 opened October 2nd and will stay open for roughly a month. Aside from the area's affordability when compared to larger U.S. cities, Aouya said the biggest driver of Algerian immigrants to Columbus may just be herself.
Pete, do you realize that fewer than 20% of the world's simmering ethnic conflicts have yet been brought to the United States? We need them all.
Every single one of them. Anybody got anything?
How insane is the idea of the diversity visa that like we just need people from the whole world. We just need it. We have to have carve-outs so that everyone can be here because we don't waste enough resources in the schools on, translation for every little sub click clack. We don't have enough, of these people employed as social workers, getting them all their gibs, as efficiently as we can. Like we really need that because our fragmented chaos is our strength.
This is the price of a pretension to global hegemony.
Yes.
Everyone gets a finger in the melting pot.
Those days are over. It's a Cold War conceit.
Oh, and by the way, for the people who are looking and maybe can't read the caption, Hamida Aouda is not the one in the friggin' with her head covered. She's the one with the gigantic nose on the right.
Yeah. Those types have a very large community in Algeria, by the way.
Actually, that's a funny connection because I believe lots of these old commie types from the 60s and 70s would run away to Algeria whenever they wanted to get away. They didn't go to Cuba, but they went to Algeria instead.
Yep.
Burroughs, I believe, had particular reasons for going to Algeria.
Yeah, isn't Algeria just a heroin production facility that happens to be a country?
Well, they used to do piracy too back in the day.
I know Algerians. There are a couple Algerians I know who I like a lot. But yeah, this is insane, especially now in 2025 when we have the lowest, I think we have the lowest arrests at the border in 55 years. So it's what is it? What have we been saying all along? It's not, at this point, it's not even the illegal immigration. It's the legal immigration. This needs to be shut down immediately.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is completely senseless.
And the story reveals the partnerships which are responsible for the transformation of one American town after another. You have these NGO networks that work hand in hand with the government to target specific places and swamp them. And it happens again and again and again. It happens with Haitians. Now apparently it's happening with Algerians. It's, again, there's a broader question than just getting guys in office and changing the policy. There is a whole extra governmental infrastructure that needs to be dismantled.
Right. And the economic
seriously, you have to go back. You gotta.
It's just the sheer scope of irresponsibility of this whole policy is ridiculous. You already have an extremely tight jobs market. Why are we still bringing any immigrants in at all? there's no reason for any of this. It's just complete irresponsibility from top to bottom.
I mean, you're talking about like people are like, oh, I can't afford a house. Rent, even if I wanted to rent, is ridiculous. You're rid of 50 million people. Everything goes down. The price of everything goes down. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it gets. I mean, it's everything from like waiting in line at the store, to waiting in line in traffic, waiting in line to go to confession. I'm like over it, all of it. Anything else? I mean, anybody got anything else on this one? I think we're gonna have a short stream tonight.
I'm
That's
furious.
Fine. Yeah, I mean, all right. Let's finish up with the super chats and let's get out of here. Cut this one short today. So. Maverick Jones, $4.99 super chat for my Legionnaires. Salute. That's amazing. Oh, it's awesome. Anybody doesn't know, Carl and I did an episode on
Hi everybody
Codriano recently, and yeah, it's what a story, what a tale.
Incredible. It's incredible. He's a great man,
I mean, just like they were all the things that we talk about, like building parallel institutions, they were doing that. Wonderful. Herb Seasoning for 2112, obviously a Rush fan. What is Carl's favorite Western film? I really enjoy Massacre Time, but I think Pale Rider is my favorite overall. Hard to beat Eastwood as the all-time best leading man in the genre. So, Carl?
Oh, there are so many great ones. For rewatchability, though, I gotta say it, man. Tombstone is fantastic. Massacre Time is a reference to me posting that movie poster as a reply to like almost everything on X. Every awful thing that people post, you could just post the Massacre Time movie poster. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Tombstone for rewatchability. I can get more ideological and Parsi than that, but I gotta say it, man. Just quotable. Well,
yeah, I don't know how you top Val Kilmer.
No. I watched the atrocious Wyatt Earp movie. Came out like a year or two later, Kevin Costner, and what they did was they just made a long, dull, soulless film, and you had some good portrayals. I can't think of off the top of my head who plays Doc, but he did a good job, but it's nothing compared to Val Kilmer.
No, Val Kilmer created an entire character there. I realized Doc Holliday was a historical personage, but the character of Doc Holliday is entirely Val Kilmer's.
Yeah, 100%. And it's in terms of like if you want to juxtapose like a good film, versus a sweeping drama, there's Tombstone is a good film because they only show what you need to show, and the Wyatt Earp bad movie just tries to cram in this whole backstory that is totally unimportant. It's totally unimportant. You don't need to know all that stuff. He rolled. What you need is he rolls into Tombstone and people know who he is, and he establishes who he is in a very brief period of time, and that's all you need to know. Yeah, it's excellent filmmaking and storytelling, and a little pulpy, which is what I like about it.
I will say that it is not a Western. but it does have a Western feel. And I'm going to say this, and I hope someone at least agrees with me. But there was a very Western feel about Cold Mountain.
Oh, very. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
That's a great movie. Yeah. So I don't know how many times I've seen the movie now. But also, he mentioned Eastwood, the Man with No Name movies are just fantastic.
They're outstanding. I will say this. If you go back and watch the Eastwood directed, like the lesser known Eastwood directed films, they're almost all really bad. There's quite a few that are not very good movies. But you know, he was a big fan of like doing things in a single take, apparently, where he was just like, all right, let's just go. But yeah, like his 70s and 80s like best films are outstanding movies.
Yeah, and let's not forget Outlaw Josie Wales, which is just most one of the best movies probably of all time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If we're just going through great westerns, Hell or High Water is I think
that's another one.
2016. That was
very good.
My second favorite western after Tombstone.
You know, there's a lot of really bad recent westerns where they just I don't know what's inspiring it, but they're just so dark and nothing good happens, and it's all just brutality, and even to the point where it's fairly unrealistic, because it's like, I know 1896, for example, isn't, you know, yeah, there were still Indian wars going on and stuff, but just everyone's brutality level is so high, and it just doesn't make any sense. There was more order in the West outside of you know, by Americans, you know, among Americans, I should say. There was a great deal more order at that time, you know, because the army was around and law enforcement would pursue people. And so there's a lot of just really crazy movies that are made that are just, you know, they're colonialisms you know, are bad, and it's stupid how bad some of these genre films can be. So when you see a good one, they just stand out so much.
Did the Western Alec Baldwin killed that woman shooting ever actually come out?
I don't know.
I doubt it. It's probably cursed. But who knows?
That might be where it started.
Stuck in development hell.
That's hilarious.
I think my best favorite Western is probably Big Jake. That's got to be.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah, that's a great one.
All right, next super chat. Robert Affixum, $10. Pete, for the love of all that's holy, I cannot catch up to the pace of 200 years together. I'm still 20 episodes behind. Glad to hear you're feeling better, but have mercy on me, please. Recorded episode number 78 yesterday. Can't slow down.
I am also severely behind because I had the idea of waiting for Pete to finish the series before I started it. Then Pete informed me that there were going to be hundreds of episodes, so I gave up on that idea.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be 140 or 150. So
if you're going that far, you got to push it to 200.
200 episodes together? Yeah.
Yep.
Can I throw out my second favorite Western real quick?
Sure. Oh, okay, sure.
Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo. That's a Western.
Aramaic Discourse, super chat for $5. Thanks, sir. I predict many diverse businesses popping up in Ohio in the form of liquor stores and smoke shops. There's already plenty of those, man. Maverick Jones for $4.99. Our vow is recorded, our banner unfurled. In the name of Vermont, we defy all the world. Yeah. I love it. Kyle Linskog. Pete, have you watched A Serious Man yet? I have not. I meant to do it, but there was a couple weeks there where I thought about doing it, but the painkillers were not conducive to me paying attention too much for longer than about 5 or 6 minutes at a time. So yeah, I will get around to do it, and probably I want to maybe talk about that on Substack or something like that for the subscribers. And Paulie B with a salute, $15 super chat, says, Pete et al. Every panel member had the same exacting sober level energy in the stream, and it was soothing in an AMSR sort of way. Join the OGC.
You're beautiful,
That's
Anon,
right.
just the way you are. You're beautiful. You're a star.
Pony Express is gunning to dethrone Apostolic Majesty as the king of sleep.
Let's just keep everything stoic and go from there. All right. Well, this turns out it's going to be shorter than our normal 2 hours and two and a half hour journeys. So yeah, just thank everyone for tuning in, and we're going to go around the horn. Raging Mandrill, what do you got? You got anything to promote?
Yeah, I do actually. If you haven't read it or seen it, or if you were not at the event, my event speech for this last OGC national event is up on the Substack. It is behind the paywall, so only elite patrons are able to see, but it is there. So do go check it out. It is incredibly important as a intellectual work to engage with, finding original answers and the original sources and people who may be unknown to you is incredibly important. You have to know your enemies before you can defeat them, and that particular individual and enemy and book really is a trip. So do go check it out.
That was an incredible speech with talking about a book and talking about the narrative in that book that a lot of people haven't heard. So yeah, please
stuff.
Yeah, subscribe to the OGC Substack so you can read that, or in the app it allows you to actually listen. It will read it to you. Auberon Quinn.
Really. So every Monday.
Sorry. Okay.
Every Monday on this very channel at this very time, tune into American Spirits, where Ryan Turnipseed and Charlemagne are engaged in a comprehensive investigation of who is an American and what is the appropriate political formula for the American right. I occasionally step in there as well, but if you watch nothing else, you as a member of the Old Glory Club should watch American Spirits every week.
Sign off on that 100%. Mr. Rattle. Or Mr. Dahl, sorry. I was thinking about that other based Carl.
Thanks, Pete. Best place to connect with my stuff is at my Substack, which is karldahl.substack.com. That's KARLDAHL.substack.com. 2 books on Amazon by book. And I've got some podcasts coming up. I'm going to do Last Things Film Festival, and I'm going to be talking about some John Woo Hong Kong era movies and how they relate to like globalism and things of that nature. And then I might be doing one with Astral talking about anarcho-tyranny and bio-Leninism in the context of what the Spanish dealt with, both in the Civil War and then afterwards, their psychiatric evaluation of the Red Menace.
And I recorded my episode for the Last Things Film Festival last week with talking about the 1983 horror, quote unquote, classic, The Hunger.
Awesome.
So yeah, can't wait for people to hear that, because that turned into a really serious conversation, actually. And if anybody doesn't know, Carl is behind Thomas's paywall on Thomas's Substack. And if you have not heard these episodes on Southeast Asia, you are missing out. That is some of the best podcasting that we've had all year. I promise you.
You're reading hundreds of books about the Vietnam War and the greater Second Indochina War in general when I was in middle and high school has paid off.
So for the members of the OGC and for our guest here, I want to thank everyone who tuned in, all the super chatters, and everyone who commented tonight. Thank you. Show up on Monday for American Spirits. You better be there.